am Tammy Beilstein. Welcome to Tammy's Window on Calaveras. Tonight I have with me Bev Eklund, and she's a master gardener in Calaveras County, and we have a variety of things to talk about tonight. So I want her first to tell us about what does it mean to be a master gardener, and tell me where you guys work. Is it a place where you all gather and work together? Tell me about this.
Well, to be a master gardener, we are under the auspices of the University of California. Mm-hmm. It's a nationwide program, even up into Canada and what have you. And to actually be a master gardener, you take a class. It's offered, at least here in Calaveras County, it's offered every other year, and then the opposite year, it's offered in Tuolumne County. Our coordinator, Debbie Powell, works for both counties as coordinator. Boy. So yeah, she's a busy girl.
Yeah.
And you take the class. It's usually they start it in January and it goes until April. It's a pretty extensive class.
Do you guys meet once a month?
They meet once a week.
Once a week.
And
That's
it's usually like about 4 hours.
Wow.
And speakers come from the UC and all kinds of places. Mm-hmm. This is the Master Gardener Handbook that I received. It might not be the same one that they're getting now, but you can see a lot of information in here.
And not a lot of pictures.
No, not a lot of pictures. And this isn't the only book that you get.
Really?
You get quite a lot of materials. And then once you become a master gardener, there's various things that you can do. We in Calaveras County are very fortunate that we have the big demonstration garden, which is at the government center.
Yeah. I've seen that. It is so nice.
Yeah, not all master gardeners, have a place like that, but we're fortunate because our basic purpose is to teach and inform people of research-based information done by the UC in horticulture, pest management, and all of those things. So the demo garden is a perfect place for us to be able to do that.
Okay.
And we're open on the fourth Saturday of every month. Mm-hmm. Not December and January, because it's kind of rainy and the garden's wet, resting. But this Saturday, actually, is going to be our open garden day, and starting this Saturday, we'll have a plant sale as well. The garden itself is open from 10 to 2. There's lots of ladies there or men to answer questions, or give a tour of the garden, things like that. And then we do have the plant sale from 10 to 12, and it's really a good deal. The prices are quite reasonable compared to other places. And a lot of times you'll find something there that you wouldn't get somewhere else because most of the plants are propagated by us out of our own gardens, through division or whatever. And so, and then in addition to the garden, as far as education, we have all kinds of materials that are free to the public.
Oh, nice.
We have all these Pest Notes. This is kind of the Cliff Note version, so to speak, just brief. I chose, as you can see, there's many, many topics.
Yeah, let's see.
Lots and lots of topics. I chose tonight weeds in the landscape, because with all our water, we have lots of weeds. And like I say, this is the Cliff version. But then if you really want to get into it, this is much more detailed. There's like 4 pages here of information. In addition to that,
a master gardener, so there's not a place where you all work. You guys go out and teach other people in different areas of the county. Is that?
Well, once you're a master gardener, you can also come to our meetings. Although the meetings, we always have a program, and those are open to the public. And if you get on our email list, we usually send out an advance notice, letting you know what the program is, where it's going to be held, that kind of thing. So we have, the meeting and a social group and what have you, and then information at that meeting as well on various topics. And then we have our open garden day, and this gives the subjects.
Good. Yeah.
And this one on Saturday is going to be about chickens.
I have so many friends with chickens.
Also, gophers and deer. We always get
Things
a lot
that
of
eat
questions.
Your plants.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But other ones, next April, it's going to be saving the monarch butterfly. And then in May, it's protecting pollinators. And so each month is a little different information. And then we usually take lots of questions. People sit. It's very casual. People sit, and any question they have, usually we take off on that as well.
Nice.
So
if they can't make it to that event, but they do have questions, they can call a number. Who is it that they're calling, and where is this
well,
place?
the office is adjacent to the demo garden. There's one of the modules right there at the county center. As you go in at the red barn, the first building, when you turn to the right, is the UC Cooperative Extension, and we are under UC Cooperative Extension. And we have a help desk there, which is staffed on Wednesday mornings, but you can call the helpline and, either talk to somebody at that time or leave a message, and they'll get back to you with an answer. Okay. In addition to that, there's all kinds of information online. You can go under Calaveras County Master Gardeners for our webpage, or you can go to the Central Sierra Master Gardeners. There's 4 counties, and they have all kinds of information, or the UC itself. There's just a wealth of
So, like, if I've had, I believe there were roses that had really something sticky on them for a while. Like, I could just cut some of it off and bring it to you.
That's
and
a
you
good
would tell
thing
me,
to do.
Okay.
That's a good thing to do, because when you come in, if you have something to show us, whether it be a bug or a plant that you want identified or something like that, it is much easier. But the other thing is, now everybody has phones that take pictures, so
good idea.
That would be another way that you could bring a picture in.
Yeah.
But bringing the actual item is good.
Yeah, very good.
So.
What made you want to be a master gardener?
Well, I've always liked to be out in the garden, and it's therapy. And we moved to Mountain Ranch from Modesto, and in Modesto, I love to garden, but I mostly just had room for flowers and stuff like that, which was fun. But now we have a little 10-acre parcel, and so I've got lots of space to...
10 acres is not little.
Well, a lot of it is pasture. We have goats and chickens. We turned into farmers, but I have a lot of raised beds, so I can raise vegetables as well.
Right.
And just working in the garden is just my passion.
Okay. So Master Gardener, is it only outdoor plants that you...
No, you can get information about, house plants and what have you. We don't deal in a lot of house plants because we find that more people up here are interested in the general landscape or their vegetables, things like that. Yeah. But I mean, on these sites, there's all kinds of information about almost anything you could think of.
Interesting. Now, so you said you lived in Modesto and then you came here. Are the types of plants you could grow in Modesto different from the types you can grow here?
Very.
Even though we're close? I mean, we're not that far from each other.
They're very, very different.
Okay.
When you think of Modesto, you know how hot it gets in the summer.
Yeah.
And, that's at virtually not too far above sea level, whereas where I live in Mountain Ranch, I'm at about 2,000 feet. So I will freeze much earlier than Modesto. And I understand you live in Valley Springs, and that's very similar to Modesto.
Okay.
So big difference. And when you think of Calaveras County goes all the way from Valley Springs, where it's very hot, and I know you do freeze, but probably not as often, and you rarely get snow.
Right.
Whereas Calaveras County can go all the way up to, West Point, and you're getting up to maybe 3,000 feet. So big difference in what plants.
Right.
I'll give you an example. When I moved from Modesto, I had some favorite plants, and I dug them up. and moved them, as well as the furniture. But one of them was this beautiful white geranium.
Yeah.
And, of course, when I moved it up here...
It didn't appreciate the move.
No. Because of the cold, geraniums down there, they don't freeze and die. They're great all the time. But up here, it gets just cold enough where I live that they freeze.
I wish when people bought plants at the Home Depot, Lowe's, those sorts of places, that they had that info there, because I don't like when they sell plants that don't grow in our area. We went traveling, I think it was Southern California, and they had these climbing plants that had really bright flowers on them, like bougainvillea.
And bougainvillea, yeah.
Bougainvillea, okay. So pretty. And so we loved them. We came home, and they had them over in Jackson, I think it was. We went and bought a few. None of them lived, not one.
Right, I know.
That's disappointing.
It's really hard for them because, of course, the Lowe's in Jackson, you know, they're dealing with people below and people above. But in most cases, when you go and you buy a plant, most of them have a little label in them. And if you pull that label out and read it, it will usually tell you whether it needs to be in the sun or part shade. It will tell you how much water, whether it's a drought tolerant or whether it's going to need moist conditions. And it will also give you the temperature for freezing.
You know, I'm sure I read that, but I just assumed if they're selling them around here, they must grow around here, and that's not the truth.
No, the same thing happened to me one time. And the thing is, you know, whatever, a lot of times we buy what is blooming so beautifully.
Right.
And one time I was at one of the box stores, and they had these beautiful pentas, and they were all in bloom. And just like you, I thought, oh, those are lovely. I'd love to have some. Well, pentas grow in Florida. So you can tell it wasn't going to like my cold conditions.
Shoot.
So most of the stuff that they have is probably going to be okay, but not as you move up the hill. You really got to be careful as you get up into the higher elevations, because, you know, we get freezing temperatures quite often, and even some of Calaveras County snow.
Right.
So, you know, it's a big difference.
So later I should call you guys when I get home and ask what zone Valley Springs is, because when I go to get things online, and it'll give this huge, you know, pink area, all of this is zone whatever. And from what you're saying, that is not accurate.
Well, here again, you could call our hotline, and we could give you that information. But there's so much information out online. You could Google, you know, what zone in Valley Springs, California, and it would probably come up.
I should do that.
Sunset has a great zone charts, I guess you would say, at the beginning of their book. It's not, and there's a Western edition for Sunset, so that's the one that would be more applicable to us. But they also have, you know, they have the coast and they have the desert, because California has a lot of, you know.
So, 2 hours one way you're at the beach, and 2 hours another way you're in the snow. Yeah, that's interesting. Very cool. So, when you said you guys are selling plants, are they mostly vegetables or are they decorative?
We will have a few veggies probably when we get to May, because so many people around here don't put a lot of stuff in until we get to frog jump because of the freezing. And that's a real short window for the veggies. Mostly we have, you know, landscape plants, ornamental plants. We specialize in a lot of natives. And, of course, recently we've gotten really big on the drought tolerant, as have everyone, you know. So it's a good variety,
So I should probably ask you about the fire. You mentioned recently, that made me think about the fire that we had recently. What kind of things should people be planting now? Has it totally changed, like the soil and everything, having a fire gone through there?
In some cases. It kind of depends upon where you are and how bad the burn was. Like where I live, We had it come close to the house. It didn't get our house, but
goodness.
A lot of the landscape area out under the oaks and what have you was burned, but it was a very low burn, and it probably did it good, and that would probably enhance the soil. But if you drive around and you go to one of these places where it's just a moonscape, that has made what they call hydrophobic soil, and it kind of has a film on the top. And that's one of the reasons that they're hitting the erosion control so hard, because when the rain comes down, it just kind of slides off instead of going through. You can break it up. It doesn't take much to break it up. So around your property, if it burned, more than like at my place, you can break it up and then that water will soak in, or you can do what you're seeing, Calaveras grown and people like that, spreading rice straw, even pine needles or any kind of mulch, because then when the water comes down, it, spreads out rather than just pouring down on this hard and running off.
Just walking on it enough to break it up? Okay, so you don't need any special tools or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even, we're lucky. We have goats. Just having them go out and walk around will break it down.
Good idea. You should rent them out.
Yeah. For sure.
So I see here you have something with a butterfly on it.
Right.
You know what this made me think of? I work for hospice, and so many times people want to put together some sort of memorial space in their house or a garden outside, and attracting butterflies, dragonflies,
all the good beneficial pollinators.
There's another one I'm thinking of escaping right now. But attracting those to their garden is what these people love. So what kind of plants should be planted in a memorial garden to attract these butterflies?
Well, that was a very timely question, because one of the things that we're proud of right now is we have just become a monarch way station. We are participating in saving the monarch butterfly because their population has diminished for various reasons. And in order to be a monarch way station, you need to have a lot of the plants and things that will not only attract monarchs, but it will attract all the other pollinators, the other butterflies, the bees, and things like that. The one thing that's different about the monarchs is we definitely will have a lot of milkweed planted, because that's the only thing the monarch will lay its egg on, and that's what the caterpillar eats.
I don't know what milkweed look like. Are they pretty?
Well, there's different kinds of milkweed. There's like 100 kinds, but not all of them grow here. The ones that grow best here are some of these. This is a beautiful one. This is Asclepsis cordifolia. It's a type of milkweed, and this is what it looks like. And then,
I can't believe you had pictures when I asked that. Very cool. You're so prepared.
And then this one, too, is the narrow leaf milkweed, and that grows around here. Then this one is called showy milkweed. And we have samples of these in the garden, and we want to get more. We've been trying to collect seeds and plant more. But in addition to this, you also plant what they call nectar plants, because all the butterflies and the pollinators, need the nectar for energy. So there will be all kinds of blooming flowers.
Like jasmine and that sort of thing?
Well, a lot of different kinds. Some of the natives, but also anything like cosmos or echinacea, the blue or purple cornflower. When you go out and you see where the bees are, sucking the nectar, or the butterfly, all of those. And to have a variety is quite good, because, different pollinators like different things, just like people like different things.
I was going to ask you that. Are they more attracted to the colors of the flowers or the scents?
Actually, a little of both, but for the butterflies, a lot of times they go for the yellows and oranges and bright colors like that. But here again, they love purple coneflower, so
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
they're not real choosy. And they actually smell with their antenna, and they taste with their feet.
Ew.
And I know it sounds kind of funny, but everybody does things differently, right?
I'm not going to judge. That's
So, but the same kind of things that you would plant, you know, for the butterflies and the bees and all of that would make a lovely memorial garden.
And what about water for them? Do they? I think I saw something online where someone put oranges in water. Was that for butterflies?
Well, you can. One of the things that they suggest that you do in your garden for the butterflies is to have a shallow pan and put some sand and maybe some small pebbles, and then it's wet, and so they will stand on that. And they have a proboscis that, you know, comes out, and that's how they drink and what have you. And that way they're not, you know, in a like a big bird bath or something like that.
That'd be very pretty, too.
Yeah.
Very pretty.
We had some Girl Scouts that came to the garden, and it was a small gold pan is what it looked like. And they actually put in some little gold nuggets. And then we put water in there, and so the butterfly can then stand on the rocks, you know, and drink. And you'll see the bees and wasps and things doing that too.
Okay. Is it true that the bee population is diminishing?
It is.
Really?
There's a lot of problems with bees.
Why is that happening? Do we know?
Well, there's a lot of different theories about it. Some is like the monarch butterfly. I mean, you know, when we pave over everything, when we have a lot of development and what have you, we are taking away all of the plants that they need. But there's other diseases and what have you that have affected the bees as well. So, yeah.
You might want to become a bee way station also, right?
Right.
Yikes. That's crazy. I've seen a lot of that online. Like it's something to be very fearful of it. It sort of bothered me. I didn't read in depth into it, but
bees are very complicated. They're much more complicated, I think, than people think. I was just at a friend's today, and he has bees, and I was watching his bees go in and out, and he loves his bees, and he knows a lot about them. But you know, he was saying that one of his queens is getting old, and so you know he's going to have to get a new queen. And right now, he said one of the problems is when you have the rain and the cold, and then you have a lot of warm weather, a lot of times the bees will tend to swarm. And what he means by that, they will all take off away from the hive.
Oh, no.
And sometimes there'll be a swarm, you know, in a tree, and there are people that go out and gather those swarms. They need to know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's
He's
scary.
actually going tomorrow to get a swarm of bees that is inside a wall.
Ooh, wow.
And so,
That's creepy.
But he's kind of excited because this is at a place where these bees have lived for a long, long time without much care. And so he feels that these are going to be very hardy bees. They're bees of this area.
Yeah.
And, you know, he thinks if they've lived this long without a lot of care, you know.
That'd be interesting, though. How do you get them out and make sure they don't go back in and then contain them to...
They actually will go and get them and take them.
Okay, they collect them into something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I don't want that job.
No, I don't want that job either. But
you know.
Yeah.
So do you guys know much about hydroponics? I've heard that I go to Rotary, Angels Murphy's, and there was this young man. Well, I say young man. He was like in his 30s, I guess, younger than me. And he came and spoke to us about his business, hydroponics, and it was incredible to me. It sounded like, in a way, it sounded a lot easier than gardening out in the yard. Is it easier or harder in your opinion?
I think it's harder. You could get a lot of information from the UC, and I remember going to the state fair. There's usually a section at the state fair where they have a lot of garden stuff, and the UC is very active in that. And they usually have some cows, and sometimes they're giving birth, and they have, a lot of the vets from the UC that are there, as well as gardeners and master gardeners. But they had a display which was fascinating to me. They had a tub of water, and they had fish in there. Yeah. Because, fish emulsion, they use fish, like the Indians, put the fish head under the corn stalk, for fertilizer. And then the water was coming up and being pumped into these trays, like maybe this deep. Right. And then the plants were sitting in there. And basically what those plants are doing is, they're sucking the water up instead of us watering from the top. Right. They're sucking the water up. And
the soil's really pure, right? It's that they're in.
Yeah. It has to be. It's harder. Is it? Yeah, it's harder, I think. Okay. You really have to know what you're doing to make sure that plant gets all the nutrient that it needs. Yeah. Because really, when you think about it, other than water plants in a pond, most plants do grow in soil.
True. Very true.
And some of them are growing out there, and nobody is doing anything other than Mother Nature watering them and, providing whatever they need. So,
the other difference that I was thinking of when this young guy was talking, is how they feed the plants. Like when we go to feed them in our garden, it's from up above, spraying something on them or putting something in the dirt. And the way they do it is the opposite. It would be in the water and goes up this way. And I wonder which is safer to, if you're going to eat the vegetables that these plants grow, or I don't know. There's so much to it. I don't know.
That part's probably, the same. Because the vegetables in your garden, they are sucking the water from down below. Even though we water from the top, the water's going down and the roots are sucking it up. But I just think it'd be harder. Okay. I don't have a lot of experience at it, but I think it would be harder.
It's probably pretty expensive. It's
I think so too. You have to have much more than your little raised bed and some good soil.
Yeah. We only have like 2 minutes left, and the other thing I wanted to ask you before you left, I'm starting to get a little interested in essential oils.
Oh, sure.
Do you guys have any classes or explain how those are made, or how any of us can do that?
We don't have classes on essential oils. We do carry a lot of herbs, but also there is a class that isn't gardening, but it is under the UC, and they're called Master Food Preservers, and they teach all about preserving food, whether it be from dehydration or canning or freezing. I don't think they do much with the essential oils, but...
that'd be interesting, though.
I have a friend, actually, our garden group went to...
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I can't believe I have to cut you off.
That's all right.
You have to come back.
Sure.
You must come back. Okay. Darn it. We learned so much tonight. There's so much more still to talk about. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time on Tammy's Window on Calaveras. How did that happen all of a sudden?